My name is Angelo Lutz. I'm a chef, or better yet, I'm a cook. I was born and raised in South Philadelphia. I grew up in the streets, you know. I went out, I worked legitimately and I worked illegitimately. I hustled. Whatever I had to do to put $1 in my pocket.
The mob Christmas party goes on every year. Some of the best were back in the mid-1990s when Joe Merlino was the boss, and he would truck in a busload of homeless kids from the Kensington area. They'd come to a restaurant. There'd be a string band waiting for them. Fat Angelo Lutz would be Santa Claus. There'd be a full spread, food, turkey, and all the trimmings.
Best in the city.
Veal Parmesan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And what's that?
Boss's chicken.
Yeah, Boss, yeah, that's the
Boss's
best. Boss's veal, all right?
Thank God.
Peppers.
Thank God Angelo's not here for this piece.
Thank God Angelo in here. We go broke.
Enjoy.
Thank you, girls. We appreciate it.
Whoa, I was in the bathroom. Hold on a minute.
Where the fuck you come?
Hey, Anina, come here. Bring a setup, because knowing them, they took the forks and knives away. That's for you.
You hungry?
Sure, of course. You just want to buffalo me right now.
No.
All the food's out.
We thought you left.
I can't eat somebody else's food.
They said you left.
Yeah, I left, yeah. I went to the bathroom, that's all. So I smelled the food, then I came back. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go down ashore and be a casino dealer in Atlantic City. So I went down there, and I started dealing. At the time, it was the Playboy, then it had just switched over to the Atlantis. So one of the things I realized, and I have always had this keen ability to find ways to make money, was that most of the dealers in the casino were either alcoholics, drug addicts, or total degenerate gamblers like myself. What's the obvious thing to do? I never dealt drugs. I never did drugs. Probably looking at, maybe one of very few people that could tell you I never even smoked a joint. It just wasn't for me. But I decided to open up a book, sports book. So one of my friends, who ultimately became one of my co-defendants, gave me what they called a 50% book, which basically meant that you turned in bets to me. I wrote your bets. And at the end of the week, if you guys cumulatively lost $1,000, I kept $500 and I turned $500 into the house. But if you cumulatively won $1,000, they would hand me the $1,000 to pay you guys. But before I could earn any money back, you guys would have to lose a total of $1,000. So just say the next week, you guys cumulatively, I paid you $1,000. The next week, you lose $2,000. Well, the house gets their money back, then we split the extra $1,000. So I had gotten a 50% book. And we were betting, we were betting other guys down there, and guys were betting with us. So all the guys that I grew up with, their fathers or uncles went off to jail. One like Nicky Crow, who George talked about, became a cooperating witness. So my friends started to yield the power in South Philadelphia. I mean, it was just like a family business, You go to the butcher shop. Luigi's been a butcher. His son Luigi Jr. is a butcher. Well, so-and-so was a gangster, and his son became a gangster. So at that time, all my friends started to assume where their fathers were and their uncles were. But there was one problem. There was this greaseball in South Philadelphia by the name of John Stanfa, who 15, 20 years prior, George has better timelines than I do, was involved in the setting up of Angelo Bruno, which marked like the first mob murder in South Philadelphia. It happened in like 79 or 80, like in many, many years. So, I mean, like I was born in 63, that happened in 80. Yeah, I was like 16, 17 years old when Angelo Bruno got whacked outside his house. So all of a sudden, after this guy, John Stanfa, goes on the run and all this other BS happens, Nicky Starfo goes to jail. So we called them Zips. This greaser, with a little bit of backing from New York, assumed the title and was like anointed the boss of Philadelphia, South Jersey area. So the only problem was, like I said, my friends felt that their uncles and fathers were paying the ultimate price, either in death or imprisonment, for this. And who's this guy? So here's this guy coming along saying that he's the boss. Needless to say, a mob war ensued. I was caught in the middle of it. And John Stanfa was ultimately taken down. And George alluded in his conversation about this guy, Elite, and how he could never become a made man because he was Albanian, and it didn't matter. Like, John Stanfa made anybody. So he wound up making a couple guys. He made this half-Irish guy named John Vesey. And he wound up being the demise of the Stanfa organization. They tried to double-cross the guy. They tried to kill him. He survived, you know, and he ultimately took them down. So, you know, when the government took down the Stanfa organization, you know, vacuum ensues, and what's left? Joey Merlino, my friend. And all the guys I grew up with. And they became like the leaders of organized crime. So, but I always gambled. I was always involved in bookmaking and things like that. And, you know, when it came their time to fall, I fell with them.